So, I'll wait for me. Okay, so welcome to Korea Talk, episode 31. We're going to review week 13, the last week of the LCK spring season, and then touch on the first 3 rounds of the playoffs because they all happened this week. So, regular guests here, as I'm the greatest, and I produce everything for this show. No. So, joining me is Sam and Peter, obviously. So we can just jump right in, unless you guys have anything else to say before.
I told you Afreeca was going to make it.
Yes, he did.
The sad truth is there.
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll get to fucking Afreeca freaks later on.
Well,
Yeah, we started Afreeca Freaks because they started the week against Longzoo.
Really?
Yeah, they did. So.
Oh, for fucking. All right, well, you know, well, what I
right
would say
into the
is,
fucking garbage.
what I would say is, as well, this week we saw some LCS playoffs as well.
Oh,
I
God.
watched those games.
Yeah,
I hate myself, and so I might make some jokes along the way. You know, just referencing them. So if you're the kind of person who likes references that are you know, presented as jokes, then I think you're going to really enjoy this show. Like, oh, I understood that reference. If that's you, you're going to love this show. So stick around.
Unlike you, I did not watch the LCS games really, and I love myself for not watching garbage that I really didn't need to do, and I could have just like opened up the journal and been like, oh, we need to have these two teams face each other off again in the finals. Great. So well, we can start off with Afreeca, who surprisingly are the 5th team in the playoffs now, with their 2-1 wins. So they beat Longzoo in the first series.
They 2-0 CJ. So.
I thought they two.
No,
oh yeah, they
they
did.
2-0.
They 2-0'd CJ.
2-0 CJ, 2-1 Longzoo.
Longzoo. Which is surprising because I would have considered the opposite, but Longzoo did show up again.
Longzoo did win the series.
They did play stupid Echo top and won with it, and they played pretty decent poke.
So Longzoo versus Afreeca series wasn't the most enjoyable series to watch in terms of it wasn't really high level. Like it was kind of was like classic Afreeca and classic Longzoo as well. So like start of game 1, Longzoo get a lead, then fuck it up, don't know how to snowball it, so then Afreeca come back because they've got better Baron control, basically. And then game 2, like Longzoo plays Siege, so they win, and then also Afreeca picks some weird shit with
they wanted to like snowball super hard, failed, and then lost the game instantly.
Yeah. So then like I mean, I knew as soon as I seen all that Kazakh, so I was kind of like, this game's over. But then like I was like, well, maybe if he gets like 5 kills in the first 15 minutes, it could work. But he didn't, obviously.
He tried really
He
hard.
didn't even gank early. Like he just let Chaser dominate.
There was like one gank and they blew a flash, and then like he never managed to get a repeat gank, and like Chaser was on the niddly, so he just like massively outscaled him. And then game 3, like I can't even really remember. Let me look at the picks if I can remember game 3.
Yeah, look at the picks. Game 3, Mickey got TF. There we go.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Game 2 for me was I was watching like, oh, what's this Kazakh skin? I can't wait to see all Kazakh's like this skin's abilities. I don't think I ever remember seeing it go invisible once.
He died a lot.
It took me a very long time to see him like use the W that shoots out and like the missiles. Like I didn't see any of like the animations. So I was like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna look like. Nope, did not get to see like any of them.
If you're wondering why people don't play Kazakhs like right now, that game should tell you why.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. So in game 3, we were treated again to Fury's Jin, which I have seen way too much of, and then Mickey got Twisted Fate as well. He put in like a good game on Twisted Fate, but I don't think he was the main reason why they went. I actually think that like Longzoo's like inability to play around the Jin and Fury's terrible Jin play cost them that game as much as anything. Because Fury was pretty fed, he just did fuck all with it.
Sure.
Like,
well, he didn't get really fed until there was they dove. Afreeca kind of got pretty greedy top lane, and Fury was able to pick up a couple kills there and really start using that. But up until then, pretty much anytime Fury was in lane by himself, it was time to die. Like both of his deaths were lane phase deaths where Afreeca was like, "Oh yeah, you're alone on Jin. We're going to dive the fuck out of you because you're Jin and can't do shit."
Well, I mean, like, it's bad enough playing Jin in competitive in this meta where like double TP is really important. To play it with like triple TP with the Twisted Fate as well, like that is like a bit of a fucking death wish. You know what I mean? Like you look at that, like you look at the Afreeca comps that they set, the comp that they had already. So that's Callista, Graves, Brum, Gragas, Twisted Fate. This is the comp that they picked Jin into. What is a comp designed to fuck Jin in the ass?
Completely is.
Like every single champion of those 5 could fuck Jin over.
Yeah, Jin was also like the legit last pick, so they could
Yeah,
have
exactly.
taken
They were last
Lucian.
pick for Jin. Like they do everything that was coming up, and they went let's last pick Jin. Like if I had one person to blame for for Longzhu's like underwhelming series, because coming in, if you remember when we talked about the teams before the season even began, we actually kind of like managed to predict the top 3 in Korea like kind of accurately, because we all said like it'll be like the Rox and SKT, Rox and Rox and SKT, and then you'll be like got KT and Longzhu, and it would just be like there's the sort of top 4 in Korea realistically. We got 3 of the top 4 right. It's just Longzhu's like were just so inconsistent throughout this entire split and made so many basic decisions. And
Wrong decisions.
again, I don't want to throw the coaching staff under the bus, but if I had one person to blame for this whole thing, it would be the coaching staff. Like, I just don't think the coaching staff utilized their 10-man roster at all well. I don't think their draft phases were particularly good. This game is an indicator, like that final game is a clear-cut indicator of that. And I don't think they played well to a lot of their players' strengths enough. Yep. So, like, if I was to say, like, which coaching staff probably underperformed the most throughout the regular season, I would absolutely say it was the Longzhu coaching staff. They had every opportunity to make a fucking beast super Korean team. They failed.
The biggest issue I have to agree with it too is we've seen outside of the support players, we've seen like all of the players have really at least 1 or 2 really good games to be like to show I still have enough individual talent to really do something. And then the support players, I mean, even looking in there, we never thought Pure was going to be like ridiculously flashy playmaker. He was just kind of like he was going to be steady, and he's been steady.
Yeah, Pure's been consistent enough. Like, I mean, Zeus has played bad, but who gives a fuck about him? Like,
they've never really had a cohesive 5 players onto a single roster for a long enough period of time that seemed to come together and play. And it seems like there's been huge issues with them for the entire season with closing late, because they usually can either have a very good early game or they can snowball something, and as soon as it gets past mid game, if they're not already on their way to closing out the series, it's kind of just like, well, we don't know what the fuck we're doing unless we're super far ahead.
The only reason Longzhu won any games throughout this entire season is due to the fact that their individual talent on that roster was crazy stacked. If they went into they played teams that they were like level pegging on, except for the series they played against SKT, they lost, and they lost hard. Like, those series against Rox were not particularly pretty. Like, I still think the 3 most stacked individual rosters in the world are SKT, Rox, and Longzhu. I would still say that right now. Look at how SKT and Rox use their individual talent, and look at how Longzhu use it. Look, all Longzhu have, like, Coco goes off or Chaser goes off. Players never collectively go off as well. Like, there's never like these moments of amazing teamwork between the 2 of them that you see from like Smeb and Peanut, or from Gorilla and Kuro as well, because those 2 sometimes, or like Prey and you never see those moments where like there's such fantastic teamwork there that you're like, whoa, how are they even managing that? Like, there was never any of that. It was always bog standard team fighting and like just winning lane, winning game. That was how they managed to do it. They were the Najin of this year. They're the Najin EM5 of this year.
More
kind of see that. I mean,
expensive.
the interesting thing I have to say is that the only teams that 0-2'd them in matches are Rox Tigers, KT Rolster, and CJ.
Yeah.
CJ was able to 0-2 them because they could team fight them late game, and they were much better at understanding, which shows there. And then they 2-0'd Jin Air. They 2-0'd Jin Air in the first week, and the last week they won. we'll get to the last game.
They 2-1 Jin Air in the last week.
I mean, in matches, they were 2-0. They split with everyone else. They 2-0'd Kongdoo and 2-0'd Jin Air, and the first time they beat Jin Air was when Sohan was playing, and then Trace came in, and Jin Air kind of got that resurgence into Glad playing, and then as we'll see touch on later, Jin Air Longzhu in the final game of the series. So they were very mediocre at best, but the only positive note is the only teams that beat them consistently were Rox, KT, and a team that knows how to play late game.
Yeah, and then, but it's just like they not only have the EM Fire, they made a joke about it on the cast, Longzhu win the Doa Award for most confusing LCK team. It was quite, it was quite funny and stuff like that. But it's true. But the worst part is they don't even have the nagging excuse of their budget is a bit of string and a bit of sticky tape. This is a team with mad stacks in the bank kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I think it went around into Reddit. I don't know if it made it Reddit or not, but I saw a tweet of it that Reaper is looking for a new team, and it's like, hey Longzhu, I know another player from the CG organization that might know him and might have contacts with him, and they could make a great player coaches together. So let's. I
think if looking forward, what I would want to see Longzhu do is drop some of those players because they can't. They've proven themselves ineffective at utilizing them all. I mean, I don't want to be a cynic, but I've never seen a 10-man all the 10-man rosters we've seen this year have been underwhelming. Basically,
I would say the only 10-man rosters I've seen do well are when there's two teams playing and they're a sister team. That's when a 10-man roster.
Yeah, but that's not a team this year.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm joking.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
The joke is bring back sister teams.
Yes, but so I would have to say cut some of those players off. There's no point keeping Frozen and Coco on your team. There's no point keeping Chaser and Crash on your team. These are all players that probably deserve starting spots. Again, I would argue there's not even much of a point keeping Expression and Flame on the team as well. The Captain Jack and Fury thing, Captain Jack has been playing better, but I think Fury's still a better AD carry. But Fury's been playing bad this entire season, basically. So
it's he stopped practicing after he got banned or something.
Yeah, exactly. I got banned better for a 3-month holiday. And then. I would get rid of Zeus as well. That guy's just fucking nothing for your team. That's a corpse sitting in the roster.
I would say Zeus, Expression, and Flame are the ones that I would be less whatever. Because Flame and Expression, until you really choose and go with one of them, whatever. Chaser and Crash, pick one. Coco and Frozen, pick one. And then you have Captain Jack and Fury. Isn't Captain Jack still going to school? Isn't he done?
I don't know what the fucking his situation is.
Coming back.
Yeah.
He keeps showing back up. I was like, I thought he was back in school.
What I would absolutely say that Longzhu need to do is get new coaching staff. Whatever their coaching staff are doing right now is not working. The worst part is I've been a defender of Coach Kang, who is the long-time coach of the IM organization, both in StarCraft 2 and in League of Legends. I've been a defender of him over the years. I feel again, for football fans, this is a bit like when David Moyes took over Manchester United. I like David Moyes as a manager or a head coach, as they call him in Europe. I thought he was, I wanted to see him with a big budget and what he would do and stuff like that. It was the same thing for Kang, except for both times they got this big budget and have done fuck all with it. So, I would say, again, I'm not saying Reaper is your answer. He's not the fucking, the savior of Korean legends. But there has to be better coaches than the ones they have.
Yep.
And again, I don't know what's going on in that team house. So this is not me throwing shade at Coach Kang or at Lustboy. But based on the results with my own eyes, I have to say the coaches are at fault for this.
Yeah, it's been 13 weeks and they still have the similar issues they've had since week 5, week 4.
Yeah, it's a fucking long time.
That's the biggest issue I have to say with this is the only thing that really makes Longzhu super confusing is they're the only team that's had the same issue for the entire season. That's not just our players aren't as good as other players, which is kind of the Kongdoo.
Yeah.
Kongdoo kind of had the excuse of we're playing with 380 carries. Longzhu doesn't get that excuse.
The only time Longzhu ever looked good is when they've done this whole we'll win lane and then we'll play a siege comp so we can you know. But that's like kind of designed to close out the game realistically, and you can't run
It
a
has
season off every
specific
time.
things that need to do in like you kind of just like get a checklist and you just follow it on and you check. That seems to be the only way they can play late game, is that as soon as it gets to like, well, we've got like 4 or 5 different options, it's kind of like, holy shit, what do we do?
Yeah, so like, and it's not been fun watching Longzhu be crap, because I like a lot of the players on their team. I really do. Like, I love Chaser, love. I mean, I'm kind of like not sold on Crash completely, because he is great, but then he's shit at the same time. He's like the best worst player I've ever seen in my life.
Very rookie. He has a lot of rookie mistakes, but he still shows promise, which is the positive I see of it.
I like Expression, former Najin. I like Pure as well, again, former Najin. Like, there were 2 former Najin players on this team, you know, but they just don't deliver it. I like the idea of Chinese money doing well in Korea, but it hasn't worked out this time, has it?
So, I mean, we're going to talk about Longzhu again in the last series, but what did you guys think of Afreeca in this? Any positive? Do you think they showed better play here?
In a bit, I just think like game 2 they kind of tried something new.
Game 2
I think that was very stupid, considering they had to win both series and preferably one of them 2-0. But I mean, I think that like we're confident enough they got 2-0 CJ.
That looks like a classic example of, well, this worked really well in scrims. I imagine it will work well on the stage. Like, I can totally imagine Lua getting 7 kills in 8 minutes on Kazakhs in scrims, like 4 times in a row. I can totally imagine that. Doesn't mean it works well on stage, does it?
In order for Afreeca to, like, they could have won if they 2-0'd both of the games, regardless of what happened with Samsung, they were in. If Samsung 2-0'd and they 2-1'd one set, they would lose because of.
No, they would still do it. They would still have fucking. Now they have 2-point differential. If they had lost one more game.
If Samsung didn't lose one. If Samsung 2-0'd Kongdoo, it would have been 1 point to 1 point. If they 2-1. If they that is kind of. They're kind of giving up the edge they had.
No, because I don't believe. I think what you're arguing is why would they try something new when all these games matter so much for them?
Yeah, that was.
Why would they try something not just
because
that?
No, I'm sorry, I'm going to call out that argument right there. Okay, when all the games matter, okay, that is actually like a pretty good time to play something, because they clearly had practiced it in scrims. Like, they're not a team that so far this season they have played literally nothing other than meta picks and their own pocket picks. So this is clearly something they did practice. They went into that series absolutely wanting to 2-0. This was their plan to 2-0. Just because it didn't work doesn't mean you can't be like, why would they try something new?
It's not just that. It wasn't just that. But if you watch the game, it just didn't seem like they had. With the Kazakhs pick, you're thinking they're going to have like the first 10 minutes of the game. They're going to really have a plan down.
They didn't have a plan down.
That.
They did
it seemed like
plan down.
He did almost nothing.
Lyra tried to do like one gank, and that was literally it. Everything else was just like, I'm gonna farm.
Yeah, because it didn't go as he expected it to go. Like, that doesn't mean that they didn't have a really concrete plan down.
Okay,
you know the phrase, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Like,
yes.
Like, that is what happened in that game. They had a plan for how it was going to go. It didn't go that way. It didn't work. They lost. They still got into playoffs. So in that aspect, and also, like, it's not that bad for them, because like they wanted to try something. Just to, like, this is a team who, you know, historically hasn't been very good. Like, so this is absolutely. I didn't have a single problem with them trying something new in that game, because. Yeah, I mean, yes, they can play it safe and stuff like that, but the more and more safe they play it, the more predictable they become, which is, like, they are weaker in the laning phase than Longzhu are. So it's worth them trying an early game snowball, because they don't know whether Longzhu managed to sort out the late game issues or something like that. That game 1 was pretty close.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it just like the first 10 minutes of the game, I was watching it looking for something that they, like, looking for some sort of, not epic, but looking for Lyra to have some sort of impact or attempt to impact the game, and I really just didn't see it there.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's my only issue. Is like, yeah, why now is not really a good issue. It's just like, why now? With like, it didn't seem like you had a strict plan.
Like,
he didn't gank mid to try and get Mickey ahead.
I would say that, you should always, if you're gonna bust out like something you think is gonna win you a game, you should always actually do that in playoffs or in games that absolutely matter. There's no point doing it in games you don't matter because you can't accurately say whether the pick worked or not. Now they know that it doesn't really work and they probably won't play it again. So like, but this is absolutely like what you're saying is that no team should ever try and innovate in a big final or something like that. Does that not sound boring and
what
depressing?
I'm saying is that if you're gonna try this, and clearly it was to get the Mickey's lane ahead, why do you not just like get red buff and then insta gank? There was no level 2 gank. Like he went and cleared his jungle and then started to gank. There was no like cheese or anything. Like the entire time I was like just watching him on the mini map, going, okay, he's starting at red. Is he gonna go right to mid lane and gank with the Maokai and try and 3-man gank and start getting Mickey ahead on the LeBlanc, and then kind of like get him snowballing really early, gank mid lane early and often, get that tower down, and then roam with it. But they didn't. He didn't gank mid lane. He went. Was it top or was it bottom two for saying?
I can't
it was just that was my issue. It was just like he didn't go to gank the lane that was easiest to gank.
Yeah, he didn't play the pick like incredibly well, but I imagine because when he played it in scrims, he probably did exactly what he did in that game, and it worked amazingly well.
Yeah.
I mean, it just there was no attempt at the mid lane gank.
Like,
I guess we're arguing over whether or not, like, just the fact that it didn't execute well, and it kind of like leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and it seems like they didn't even attempt to execute it poorly.
But I think that they just tried to execute it according to their plan, and guess what? The plan didn't work. I don't think that means the plan was bad, or that there was a bad idea to try something new in an important game. It's absolutely worth trying something new in an important game. What's good is the fact that it didn't work in game 2, so they didn't play it again. What I dislike, and anyone who watched TSM versus Immortals will know this, is when you try something that's out of meta, it doesn't work, and then you try it again. That's what I don't like.
I mean, technically they didn't pick Lucian twice in a row with top lane.
Yeah, but they did fucking continue to play fucking AD damage top laners.
And Karma support every game.
So
yeah, I mean they didn't instantly go right back to the bread and butter for winning with the TF Gragas top. I mean, they really did go right back to that.
All right, let's
it was just that the first 10 minutes was very puzzling to me. I mean, yeah, they can pull out whatever they want, but it was just kind of
even the best players in the world have bad 10 minutes. Did you not watch SKT versus KT where Faker got his fucking head caved in by Fly? Like
he's got his head caved in the whole game, but
yeah.
Like even the best players in the world fucking sometimes have a rough 10 minutes. Like
yeah, I mean, it was the lack of even any attention to the mid lane that was my issue.
Well, these things happen.
I thought he also counter jungle like a bit, trying to chase her off guard or something, but like it happened like way too late, and when he constantly just got collapsed and then died.
So what happened is he tried to do the counter jungling, but it was too late to that point, and he got collapsed and died twice, and it was not good.
And then it was like over.
But as we were saying with the Fakers, we can move on to KT SKT. Faker got fucking put in a body bag game 1.
Oh god, yes. It's
like he did a lot of damage, but he also died a lot of team fights.
Like, all right, I get that they need to go TP, but so the laning phase, that's fine. Like he tried to not die, but like seriously, like it was pretty fucking hard for Lissandro.
Well, he didn't help himself by pushing the lane, fucking hard pushing everything.
No, but come on, he was sometimes like speeding his fucking way all the way back, flash, and still fucking died because they were able to catch up on him. But yes,
don't play that far forward.
He plays way too far forward.
They did gank him with a lot of people.
Come on, there were some ganks where I'm saying like, okay, I can't even blame you for that because that was just that like Jesus, how you try to get away from that, like where he flashed and everything. But I have an issue that even late game he was like, I'm not gonna buy an hourglass. If they burst me, well, whatever, we only lose the entire fucking team fights.
Yeah, like the issue he put himself in game 1 was Bang bought a QSS, but he didn't, and he didn't buy a Zhonya's as well, so he was running around with no defensive item, so he just got popped every fight. Like
he was very up front. He was very front too.
He bought a Ludens at the end. I'm like, dudes. The move speed trick that you tried all game has never worked. You kept dying. Why are you still expecting that if you have more move speed than your team, you're gonna fucking not die to them just stunning you or flashing on your face with all their fucking hard CC? Like,
yeah, I think the epitome of this game was the Baron fight they had. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I was also going to talk about it. Like, But it's not. But even at the end, that didn't immediately stop it. But him not having Hourglass stopped them from pushing the mid inhibitor, because he got blown up like super quickly. But like in the end, they just lost because they were very uncoordinated in their team fighting. They always got split like that Baron fight or the choke point. You see Bang, like those, like you see Bang getting burst. He runs all the way away from Faker. You see Faker going all the way left, like around the fucking terrain to go
around
to
the blue
Bang.
buff,
And
yeah.
then like, dude, you have 3 other team members there left alone to die now. Like, what is this team coordination? They should never fight in the choke. Just back off. Use your karma, repositioning. Fight for a unit, and you will not lose that team fight. But they just split the fuck up completely, and it was not the only time they did that end game. It was like.
Yeah, that was when Someday TP'd down in and then chased after Lucian.
The worst part is in that game as well, like Duke had a really fucking good game, like really dicked all over Someday. Like it was definitely a case of like, I don't think anyone in the world actually should pick this Kennen top unless they're Smeb. Like Someday's Kennen did not look good at all.
Duke kept
well, he had some moments where he got TP and he was able to home guard into a position, but he just struggled trying to prevent Duke's split push.
But
like he struggled the whole game.
Okay, so I mean, I've never seen Smeb pick Kennen and not shit on the lane. I've never seen him I've never seen him pop his ultimate and get it rendered totally ineffective. Like, Smeb doesn't make these mistakes when he plays Kennen.
That fucking ultimate on Trundle was so bad.
And this is why I love Smeb so much, because he plays all the meta shit incredibly well, and we'll get to him later on. But he also has these fucking pocket picks that he busts out of nowhere. Like, last year against CJ, just bust out Shyvana for the first time in like a year and dicked all over CJ with it. Like, he just does stuff like that. Like, so that's why I love Smeb, because his champion pool is so fucking much bigger than Someday. Someday is equally as good on specific picks that he practices a lot, but you can tell Someday needs to practice.
This year, for example, was very good.
Yeah, but you can tell that Someday needs to practice that champion a lot in order to be on Smeb's level. Where Smeb seems to have this bizarre ability to just like, it's like I call it the SOAS quality, where you can just pick up a champion and be like, oh, I guess I can play this at a really high level now. Yeah, I would say like I think Fly actually played like a really solid series. I actually think like coming into this, you thought like he would be the weak link in KT, and like there were a lot of kind of like Fly is gonna like the mid lane discrepancy, because Fly's been one of like probably the worst performing member. I mean, obviously Hachani's on
Hachani.
So we
I don't think as long as Hachani's on the team, Fly can never be the worst.
Yeah, but I mean, it still amazes me that they're able to play so high level. Like I think, right, okay, if KT like actually like got rid of Hachani and brought Peekaboo back in, I think that roster would go over the edge and might even be better than Rox Tigers kind of thing. Like that, like Peekaboo would be their peanut if they brought him in, kind of thing. Like, but the trading weights are off. Like, oh, we can win bot lane. My support can roll around. I've got excellent vision control all of a sudden. Like, oh, this is amazing, kind of thing. Like, look how much his score improved when he got Peekaboo as his jungler, as his support player originally. He's still really good now. Imagine if he had Peekaboo now. Like, he'd be fucking dicking over everyone left, right, and center.
Well, the thing I like about Fly on the team is that he's not a mandatory player to show up to do really crazy things. You've got that in Arrow score, and someday he can play a role player position.
Yeah.
But there are times where he can still use that role player and kind of carry them, where you saw with the Lissandra, just the ability to ultimate. The times where he chose whether or not to ult himself or ult someone were very intelligent and really made that game. And then even in the second game was very good.
He also had some really, really good TP flanks as well. Like his TP usage in this game was actually like really, really on point as well. Like I got to hand it to him. He played like a really, really solid series. Like if I had a most improved player, I wouldn't necessarily give it to Fly, but he'd definitely be in contention for like a player that's kind of started off a bit rough and is like, showed up. Like I now 100% understand. Like, I mean, there were times in the season I was like, can they bring back Nagane? At least Nagane played the team fight well. But now, like, Fly's team fighting is really, really good. Like, KT looked really good in this series. Like, you can't take that away from them. Like, and SKT looked good at times as well, but some of their split team fighting was a bit weird.
Yeah, the split team fighting, and you saw a big difference between Score and Blank, because Score made some of these team fights really work. Like, like I was so surprised. Like every team fight, like how did Bang that? And then it looked like you just see Score just assassinate Bang all the time. Like he just jumped in, hit a spear, like just fucking kill him. Like it was fucking disgusting how effective Score is team fighting. Because I was like, Bang's always pretty like Bang is pretty safe here. Like he survived the burst. He has Karma next to him, and I was like, wait, Bang's dead. What the fuck just happened?
This best of three kind of like almost kind of embodied why I love like Korean League of Legends, because I love it because you get the amazing team fighting and some of the amazing strategies and whatnot, and then you also get those moments of like individual outplay from like the best players. Like I'm talking like these S+ rated like Kesper elites, you know what I mean? Like the Kesper elites kind of battling against each other. Like so you saw like these moments of like individual amazement and the team coordination and the strategy kind of thing. Like neither team comp was bad, as it were. Like Duke went off in this series on the game one. Like, you know, Arrow had some good moments as well. Like it was just like, other than Hachani, it was actually really high, and Faker at times. And but even Faker when he's bad, he's not that bad. Like he still played all right kind of thing. It's just, you know, our standard of him is higher. So like it was a high level series kind of thing. Like I definitely watching the series, I was like, this is the second best team in the world playing the third best team in the world. I have no problem believing that whatsoever kind of thing. Like,
oh yeah, the games are very back and forth.
Yeah,
very back and forth.
Like the 2-0 actually is like, you know, if you just looked at this, like KT 2-0 SKT, you might think that series wasn't that, you know, as close as it was. Like SKT could have won either of those games. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, it was pretty close at times.
There were some
I'm both really surprised and kind of annoyed that it didn't go to 3 games, because I was really enjoying it when I watched it. Like,
well, I mean, when I watched, I don't know about you guys, when I watched it and KT won the second game, I was like, wow, that was a really good series. Like, I wish I could have had another game, but this was real, like, fantastic to watch both of them.
Yeah.
But as I was going to say before, I find game one, the epitome of game one, is the Baron fight where SKT killed KT in it, and they got an ace, and the only person that died was Faker.
And the way he died,
4 people alive, and Faker was the only one.
Did you also see how he died? I was like, dude, I'm gonna go forward with my movement speed and then die, because like there's no reason I can just shoot my allies.
Yeah. There was moments I was like, you realise you're not playing LeBlanc, right? You can't just run into the middle of 5 people in Karma. Like,
Faker that game was.
I mean, Faker did a lot of work with his damage, but he was definitely too far forward in a lot of the team fights, and he got his face crit off by Arrow in one fight, and then just basically was the end. The issue that lost him the game was he was so far forward, and then Fly got the great ultimate onto him.
Yeah,
and there was no way to cleanse it off. So
you see Faker's arrogance sometimes as well, kind of bite him, like as it inevitably will to anyone who's as confident as him. Like, so when sometimes he'll play these like bizarre mid lane picks, and they'll work against a lower team. So then he'll be like, what if it will work against a higher level team? So that's why he does with this Karma pick.
I don't think Karma is always like a bad pick right now.
Yeah, but like I don't think it. There were champions I would rather see Faker play even in this meta. You know what I mean?
Considering double AD carry meta, I think that comp is like one of the best right now. Actually, what they played with, it's very solid. They just, for the sake, they already played it the week before. I was really like disappointed with their execution of the comp and team fights. That was just like, you could say it's close, and like you could say both teams won, but like I look at it seriously, I was like, yeah, KT at all points were still like the better team in both those games, even though there were points where the SKT could have taken it over. I think still KT was clearly cut like overall better.
I think the main reason game 1 was close was because Duke's Echo was so much better than Sunday's Cannon.
Oh,
that was definitely a big factor.
Yeah,
kept them in it for so long. It was so annoying in the team fights.
It was actually really good to watch as well, because I remember when SKT lost to Rox and everyone was like, bench Duke, he's shit, can we bring back Murray? And I was like, well, he's clearly not the issue with that team, is he? Like, you know, Duke's top 5 top laner in the world kind of thing. You're not going to find someone better, like next split, as it were. Like, it doesn't exist. Like, SKT, when they had to replace Marin, they literally got the best guy possible. They couldn't have got Smeb and they couldn't have got Someday. So there's no one I can think of that's better than those 2.
I think SKT's true issue is, as we were talking about with Fly being very improved, I think Blank has improved significantly for this season, but I still think that he is the issue. No, I mean, I still think he is the issue that's going to prevent them from being top 2, is that both Rox and KT have significantly better junglers, And when it comes down to it, he can't seem to he can't seem to be anything but a detriment sometimes when they're playing against those two teams because of the mismatch right there.
Yeah, considering
Because a lot of it is individual play.
considering game 2, like I feel like if it's not banned, you are forced to pick Italy. I mean, like the Griffs was banned and the Kindred was taken, so like, you can't really play Elise if you want to like at any point be as strong as your opposing jungler. And in this meta, like the Kindred will always do more damage, will be more effective in team fights. And considering the comp they had, it's pretty low damage. At this point, you're pretty much talking about 2 damage sources, and pretty much this season, like if you need 3, because like last season it was often you had a very sustained high damage mid lane like Victor or Azir, but if you're dealing with Lissandra, which is mostly zoning, and your only other damage is Silver, you're kind of lacking in overall damage. Like you pick Nidalee there, I feel like you have a good overall comp, and you're also not like the detriment in the jungle pick, which again cost them a lot because score was so much bigger on the Kindred that was way more impactful in all the team fights. While Blank was like, yeah, I'm playing Elise. She's like, okay, but Nidalee was open. I should have played that.
Yeah, and so I kind of agree. Like that, at least picking game 2 was really like suspect. I get that it was a comfort pick for Blank, but like your comfort should be Nidalee kind of thing. If you are, like if you are a top tier Korean jungler, like you should be absolutely happy. Like you see Rox quite happily first pick Nidalee, and then Peanut's like sitting there, laughing his ass off kind of thing because he's got Nidalee. Like
yeah, he's always jumping this shit.
So like. By taking Elise, you're not taking anything away from KT, and they picked the Elise in like the best possible stage because they knew that KT couldn't pick it because they'd already picked the Kindred. But they still should have gone for the Nidalee realistically. Like,
I think they tried to go with the Elise because they wanted to get the mid lane going with the double CC near each other. But that's where again we saw like KT had some brilliant drafting, and again you saw Fly. Didn't have the most impact early, but he was able to be a teleport mid laner with a cleanse.
Yes, that
Gangplank pick was genius.
Because you realized how much I did the last game. It was like KT just fucking had a comp to counter their own comp pretty much. Like even though SKT picked an inferior comp to what they had the game before, but like it's like holy shit, they picked the TP mid laner with cleanse. Genius, like.
I will say there was a beautiful moment from Fly on that Gangplank as well. It was like the mid lane fight and like the way he darted in and out of the bush, like and sort of like dodged Faker's point blank skill shots with the Lissandra. Like got down to like 10 health or something. Killed one player. Then dodged the Faker skill shot. Then managed to heal. Then managed to eat the orange, and then killed Faker. Like he like 2v1 that fight.
He got like Undying Grasp off as well.
I say he shot someone, got the grasp of the Undying with the Q.
Plus
turned
dangerous
8 food, and then slashed and killed Faker. It was like
it was hilarious.
It was like whoop, and then he went back to like almost full health.
One of them where you're playing like, how is he alive? How is he alive at that moment? Like, what happened?
Yes,
it was really like he had some really good ultimates as well. Like some of his barrel combos, like really good high level GP play. And I hate GP as a pick. I fucking hate that champion. So.
Yeah, but fuck that ultimate.
Well, as we saw versus LCS versus LCK, it seems like Gangplank has fallen to the point where he's kind of more of a niche pick, not just like I'm going to play him top, because he's very good with the ability to have cleanse and TP for mid lane.
Korea finally.
But he's not just like a default pick. He's not an early round pick anymore.
He's so hard to make work early, but he will always be viable considering how impactful his ult is as global. It does a lot of damage because for team fighting and just you have a cleanse.
But I don't think he's like a first round pick anymore.
It's just a situational pick basically.
Yeah, I was like, cool, that's a fucking smart pick. Yeah, you think
that. Bang as well. Played the high level series as you'd expect from him. Like he had some really like beautiful mechanics and stuff.
Yeah, he did. Like, but I mean, I'm not going to say necessarily his, but like he like in the game once, like he was the one that was like dashing away from his team. It was like just. But I think at that point, as a team, say, let's disengage here. We have the advantage in pressure. We have Baron control. Don't go into that choke. You don't want to go fucking fighting in chokes versus Cannon versus Lissandra, where they just mow you down, or even versus the boomerang. God, Silver. God, I forgot the number. Versus Silver, where the Ricochet just has all the hits bounce to all the champions.
I think one of the issues wasn't just his positioning on the Lucian game 1, but then when they were a lot of times he was forced out from the Kennen. And it was forced out, and he had to go down because Kennen had cut off that choke point with Lissandra and Kennen being placed where they were. So it's more of what you originally said, where they should have just stayed as a group, poked into that like choke point, like thrown wards over it, poked into it, and then waited for forced KT to come into them.
Yeah.
Which sometimes they would be like, aha, we've got them on the edge, we've got them poked out. Now let's take the team fight. Oops, someone backed and came in with the TP, and now.
It's like part of it is like you saw like the difference between like a player like Bang, even though he's like quite aggressive at times, it's always very calculated aggression. And a player like, for example, Imp, who's more like just trying to go in. Like there were fights in there where like, especially in the Lucian in the game 1, where Imp would have dashed in, where Bang dashed out. And like I can't fault Bang for his decision to dash
he would
out.
Have dashed in, he would have died.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so you know what I mean? Like he made the right decision. The problem is the team didn't follow up on his correct decision. Bang never makes an incorrect decision.
No, I'm not saying that, but
yeah, like I never see.
I know what you're saying.
They were weird team fighting considering.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I never see Bang make an incorrect, which is why I quite like him as which is why I really like him as a player. I think he's the best AD carry in LCK right now, at least.
Yeah.
Is because he never makes an incorrect decision. It's just sometimes the team doesn't like play around him well enough, kind of thing. I think sometimes, like he's always really good. Like
I just watched this build. I'm like I have an issue because considering how the meta, like the AD carry optimization works, like I focus a lot on that since I played myself. But like Sulky, I was do more optimal builds for myself to never die. But like pro players will always go like. You have to get max damage, so they go triple crit items. But I'm annoyed he bought armor penetration that game. Why? He was playing versus no tanks.
Yeah.
No tanks whatsoever. Like, yes, okay, moral reminder, the Grievous Wound thing is not completely useless. Versus like Lissandra and maybe some Nidalee heals. But if he had some life steal, he could have, with that gold he spent on a moral reminder, he could have finished the Scimitar, gotten a better cleanse, got more lifesteal. He could have even bought he could have just run double lifesteal that game, and you combine that with the karma. Like even if he got chunked out and then cleansed out, he could dash back, get shield, and then use all that lifesteal to stay back full health. And it was a bit. I just noticed that kind of annoys me. Because AD carries never seem to focus lifesteal anymore, but they forget that's the one thing that always keeps them in the team fight is being able to lifesteal back, but.
Yeah,
I get if you don't have lifesteal.
I guess his thought process was like, oh well, I'm just gonna like play a little bit safer, and then that way like the Grievous Wounds will allow us to sort of focus down targets better. But yeah, I like when you put it like that, I do agree. Like he probably should have built like a BT or something like that. Like probably would have sorted it out.
You also have to realize
their comp was surviving the burst and re-engaging.
That's why lifesteal. But you have to realize like. Grievous Wound only works on self-healing these days because of the rechains. Like that would have only helped versus the Lissandra ult
Score healed himself.
Arrow lifesteal. Yeah, and Score healing himself. That's it. Like that's not worth it. And bonus armor penetration is fucking garbage if you don't build armor. That's the whole chains of the armor penetration. You last year, you always wear less history. It's too good. You don't like any armor they have, it's useful. But bonus armor penetration is fucking garbage if there are no armor stacking. And Zonius is not enough armor stacking to say, oh yeah, I need fucking bonus armor penetration. And Hatari did barely build armor. So.
Arrows is smart because he had to fight against Duke, who had 4 pieces of armor.
Yeah, that's a necessary item. Plus, you have the luxury as Silver because you do way too much damage anyway to go Warrior's Bloodlust. So that's shit. Yeah.
Anything else to say about this series?
I think you kind of saw the difference. Like I think like Score like played a phenomenal series. Even though I don't think he got.
I think Score was clear MVP of that series.
And I think you saw the difference between him and Blank as well, in the sense of like their impact, both in sort of like how they like put pressure on the map, but then also like their impact in the team fighting as well. Because like I would say that like when pressure wise, Peanut beats out Score, but Score just has those moments where he just kind of like bosses a whole team fight himself, kind of thing. Like that I don't see. I don't know. It's always that which one's better, Peanut or score. It's really difficult. It's like the Sunday versus Smeb argument from last year all over again. And they play on the same teams. But yeah, so like I think score, really, really went off in that series. Support players in this series aren't too impactful, just because like on one side you've got Wolf, who's just like steady, and then the other side you've got Hachan.
They just both play tanks,
Yeah, so they both play tanks. You play Trundle, I'll play Asda. I'll play Asda, you play Trundle.
Like, I have a legit question. Why did Sunday buy QSS? I don't remember when he bought it, and I actually don't know why.
Oh, he bought it for Trundle.
But he's playing Cannon. Does he really care about
Trundle? Cannon one.
Yeah, he's playing on the Cannon. Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah, I know. And that was Dooku build it, but versus Hachani. But in game 1, he's playing Cannon.
I think it might have been for. I think it's because he got caught a few times with Duke's E. He got caught in CC chains and couldn't get his ultimate off.
I guess his logic was he wanted some MR to play against the Echo and the Karma.
I think it was more to try and make sure he could set up the ultimate where he needed to.
Yeah, I guess. I actually don't even remember seeing him use it.
Because I know that was a much later item, but I think that was probably the logic was to make sure he could get his ultimate right under, or to keep people in Fly's ult, or keep people away from Arrow, making sure he has the positioning on it.
And I guess, yeah, that's the only reason I can realistically think, kind of thing.
Yeah, I imagine he didn't like first item buy it, but it was somewhere late game.
No, that was very late.
It was actually like the game 1 from KT was actually one of the rare times that I like, because I always say like you should always pick a tank in this meta.
Yeah,
like,
I still agree they should have picked a tank in that comp.
Yeah, I think I can kind of understand it when the enemy team's got a Trundle. I can just about agree with it, but
QSS was the last item he bought before. Like the only other 2 items after that he bought were just elixirs.
Yeah, so
I mean, the lucky thing is can kind of function as a tank because people want to stay the fuck away from that thing, so they don't go close to your team. But yeah, it still would have been a lot. Considering somebody was not that comfortable on it, an actual just tank would have probably been more helpful. Well, like either way, dealing with Echo is a pain in the ass. So maybe he thought Ken was better to deal with it. It worked out in the end, and I don't think he played horribly bad. But
he definitely wasn't the MVP of that game, though, was he?
Like in that comp, you have enough damage. Like I said, like you have the silver AoE, you have enough burst with your mid lane, and then you have Nidalee, which, considering he scored at full fucking AP damage, like he did a fucking damage.
Yeah.
I think in damage chart, Arrow probably had more because he's played silver, but I think score was probably second or something.
Yeah, it was like I would say overall the series definitely delivered in terms of like what I was expecting for it to be. I just wish it went 3 games, but I can't fault KT for kind of and like you gotta remember this is quite a historic one for KT as well, because this is the first time KT have beaten SKT in like well over a year, kind of thing. Like
since sister teams got the belts, they hadn't beaten them yet. This is the first time.
Like the last time the KT lineup managed to beat an SKT lineup was the KT Arrows
versus
SKTS.
Yes.
The last thing I have to say about this is that I was kind of hesitant on the Bangi blank switching, but now that the meta is continuing with damage, AD carry kind of in damage, junglers, they clearly made the right decision, because I don't think Bangi would be.
I would not be
like
their record kind of indicates they made somewhat the right decision, but
Bangi could probably play top lane right now. Just put him on a fucking tank.
I would not be completely surprised to see if Bangi retired after this split, because I don't even. It would take a massive meta shift for SKT to stop using blank and bring him back in, kind of thing. And I don't know. It's just one of those where, like, I mean, yes, it could happen because of the way this fucking game works, but like at the same time,
I would see him retire this season, but maybe at the end of this year, like I think you have a better chance.
Yeah, like you gotta remember, like you only get to use 1 sub in international play, so like if SKT get a sub player in another role, like it wouldn't surprise me for them just not to stop subbing in, like to stop listing Bengi as their primary sub, kind of thing. Like over time of Worlds, for example, like it wouldn't surprise me if Bengi didn't play a single game at Worlds if he's still a player. You know what I mean? Like, because I imagine that SKT will probably pick up another sub because obviously they lost one in Scout between spring, but over the course of spring. So between spring and summer, in that sort of week, they get to change their roster or whatever. It wouldn't surprise me if they picked up like a mid lane sub, or because that's why they always fucking get mid lane subs for some reason, or like if they picked up like a support sub, which I think they probably should do, or a even a top lane.
I think they could also consider a jungle
I think the
sub
issue right
too.
now is trying to pick up a support sub is that support is so just put them on a tank and they are pseudo tank.
Yeah, but I can imagine support.
It's fine.
I'd be more like if you had to say ask me which one would I predict that would be massively like changed between sort of as the year would go on, I would say support is more likely to be changed than jungle, I would say.
Well, yes, but I still think Blank has a lot to improve on.
Yeah.
So maybe another.
Don't worry, they'll pick up another. They'll pick up another
mid lane sub.
They're basically what they want to do is either make Faker 2 or just do what they've been doing, which is just sell off their mid laners for lots and lots of money to Chinese teams who pick them up for no reason.
Holy shit, that guy is a mid laner for SKT?
Wait a minute, this product isn't a Faker Junior. It's like, haha, got you again.
You can make
so should we move on to the decline and or I should say the rise of Sadplane? Like Sadplane still in the air, still maintaining.
Don't believe it. I just for the record now, I know for a fact that both Peter and John are saying that Afreeca Freaks will beat Jin Air in the playoffs. It's not going to happen.
I mean, I can spoiler alert. I think Afreeca will win. Because it's a 3. I think Afreeca will win because it's the best of 3.
It's not going. Don't believe it. It's not going to happen.
And then they're going to get 3-0'd by SKT.
Don't believe it.
I said 3-1. I still think Afreeca could.
I think you should be throwing. I don't believe it if either of us thought Afreeca could beat SKT.
No,
they have in the past.
No, wait. I just don't. I just think Jin Air are going to win that playoff match.
Well, we can talk about it now.
No, well, we'll talk.
What are your thoughts on Jin Air versus Rox?
Well, yes.
I mean, they lost the week before.
Yes, but you know what? Playoffs are a different kettle of fish, aren't they? So
yeah, but still best of 3. So
we can. Me and Peter can both share our reasoning when we get to that point. But for now, let's watch the Sadplane still keeping up, still cruising along.
I don't blame Jin Air too much for this week because ultimately their playoff position was the same regardless.
Oh, I blame Jin Air.
Wait, you have to not blame Jin Air for going like fucking 4-1.
They lost to Longzhu. I can blame Jin Air.
And ultimately their playoff position was the same either way. Might as well hide the strats for that.
Yeah, they've been hiding strats for 3 weeks, right? Right, because they were safe.
Jin Air is still a good team. I still believe in Jin Air.
They're good, but
you may still be able to believe in Jin Air, but Jin Air has yet to win the last time they won a set was against Samsung 2 weeks ago. Sadplane's been in full bloom, sir.
You know what? And it always leads to Gladplane eventually.
Yeah.
Sometimes it leads to Madplane, then it leads to Gladplane.
Yeah, the Madplane will be Afreeca Freaks. Fuck Afreeca.
Yeah, fuck it.
Just fuck SBENU. I believe that's all I can say.
Yeah.
So yeah, but is it anything else about the series that you want to touch on, Sam?
I want to touch on why Spider an idiot and goes against his Rage Blade on Ash. Like,
yeah, that for me is very weird.
Like, I get everything about it, and it's still fucking complete dog shit.
Is it like based on the Q or something?
No, it's basically to get some extra attack speed, but the Q, like the animation looks very fancy, but you don't actually get to shoot like 10 arrows at the same time. Like it's one auto attack that just looks a bit stronger than.
Yeah, but does that procs the like that? It counts as a Rage Blade, right? Because you still have to get.
Yeah.
For the Kinsus, yeah, it still counts as like the amount you need to get up to it, right?
Yeah.
So grants a stack every Q.
But it's
still bad to build.
It's still like you build crit, and at 3 items you still do more damage than this. Like I think you may technically do more damage at 2 items, but then at 3 items it's all. It's so bad. And the worst thing, I had it in solo queue, like in Lucian that did that to 2 then, a couple days later. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think Pilot is like Jin Air is sort of playing like the problem with Jin Air is that they can't play Protect the AD because Pilot And
It's a
Trace has
bitch.
been marginalized by this tank meta.
You know, he played.
And Trace is still playing all right. He's still playing pretty well, but
He's playing okay, but I mean, he's playing stuff while Smap is playing Rice, which everybody
Yeah.
should play. Like, okay. Then.
so I mean, again, they lost to Rox. Okay, everyone loses to Rox.
Yeah, but they don't even look anywhere good. It's the losses.
And they did make that Baron call they made in, I think it was game 2,
Yeah,
was really
okay.
good. It's just that
No,
they
it's
did.
right.
Rox made the Baron call, so Rox made like a godlike Baron call, that kind of thing. Jin Air macro wise still play well. It's just their team fighting right now is dog shit.
Rock's game 2 was like I wasn't really impressed considering like game 2 is just like they made an actual decision to format push the mid turret while they had a person dead and Trace had TP. They got flagged and got fucking murdered. Like
Yeah, but Rox
you fucking know you're with 4. Why are you putting yourself in this situation?
because they're in
Yeah, it
holiday.
doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter.
Because they're trying to style.
But I still, yeah, clearly because they were playing Jarvan mid lane because Sassen did it. So Kura has to do it too. But again, Kura is not that great on it.
No, this job was very bad.
Considering he had only 3 fucking assists. And they only had 11 kills, but that was poor. Like, his Jarvan was complete garbage. And they just won because, yeah, they do enough anyway because they have to map and pray.
I was happy to see Peanut on Lee Sin because I know he is a good Lee Sin, but he didn't really get to display his Lee Sin
No,
in this game,
can't
kind
do
of
it.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't really get to have any kind of flashy mechanics or whatever because, like, I know that Peanut is a good Lee Sin, and I was quite excited to see him play Lee Sin, but he wasn't a good Lee Sin game. But I don't know if that's his fault because the game just it didn't really open itself up for any kind of Lee Sin plays really. So, and they still won. So, he wasn't that bad on it.
Good. Thank goodness Bray didn't feel like the same oppressive he got to play Ashe and he didn't have to micro perfectly his character to make sure he didn't die every team fight like last week was. So
yeah,
no PTSD for his Ashe play.
I mean, I don't think there's too much to say about this series. Like, I think what
we can rag on Jin Air later.
Yeah, like Rise is just like I will say that this is a classic example of you take a godlike player and you put them on a stupid champion and that's what happens. Like, he just tears everything at a new asshole. Like, fucking Smeb was ridiculous in this game, in this series.
Yeah, like double lift on Lisanne or Callista.
No.
Okay, so either of you guys watch Samsung Kongdoo?
Yes, I did.
Anything to say about Samsung's loss?
Because I wanted to see how they lost. Dude, they almost got 2-0. They're just saying that they almost fucking got 2-0. They actually almost got 2-0. Like,
I'm so disappointed in Samsung.
They almost lost the first game too?
Yes, they did. It was actually fucking... I have to kind of remember why, but I remember... Like, even the fucking third game was fucking... Actually, no, the third game was a bit better because of Ambition. Had a pretty good performance. But no, yeah, the first game, dude, like, they got this...
Why is Cuvée playing things that aren't tanks in the top lane?
2 games of Gangplank.
Yeah, he did nothing in game 1 on the Gangplank. There was a team fight which they nearly lost where he got knocked up, then knocked up again and was dead.
Yep.
He didn't even get a shot off. Why is Cuvé's never been a good character? Like, Cuvée occasionally looks good, like Cuvé's good Lissandra.
Oh, yeah.
That's it for his...
I remember game 3 now.
Cuvé's not a carry for their team. Like, he puts pressure on the map and he absorbs a lot of pressure, but he never picks up the slack to carry. So that's why it's fallen to Ambition.
So why is he playing Gangplank then?
The mysteries of Samsung.
Like, okay, so
because Poppy it's counter matchup. That's right.
So Kongdoo, yeah, well, okay.
Game 2 it was get Maokai. I don't know what. Yeah, they're still doing it.
So game 1 he could have played Maokai, and in game 2 he could have played Poppy.
Yeah, see, and in game 1 you have the 0 mid lane, which means you don't need that 3rd damage healer. So. Yeah. Look at comms if you want to know if it does enough damage. It's like you in general want 3 damage healers unless you have a 0 and a silver, because those 2 together do enough AoE damage to win a team fight on the. You don't need a fucking Gangplank, because tanks also do damage. enough damage to me.
Well, not only that, but you had Kindred and the Gangplank on top of Azir Sivir. So you're only
Oh
tanking
yeah, that's game 2.
Wraith.
I was talking game 1.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
but
I say there that's
two,
better,
like,
but yeah.
because that was a
games
stupid. Like, there were already struggling game 1 with Gangplank. We're like, oh, let's game 2. Let's do this again. Even though Hippo now got an
Except-
easier tank to play.
Yeah, have even less tank appeal.
I will say.
Last tank appeal, Edge plays LeBlanc. Okay, good job, guys. This
I
is
will-
going to work.
I will say, Ambition really has only looked good on Graves. He looks okay on Elise, but he only really kind of looks like
okay, sure.
like
He
a
looks
beast.
okay on Elise against worse
Considering
junglers.
then like, oh yeah, Kindred is open now in game 2 in 0-5.
Yeah,
Like okay,
and
Ambition. Okay, you're great.
Wraith still looks really good, and Crown still looks really good. I just think the Samsung team just kind of ran out of steam. I think
Crown got pretty like Crown Edge was like way close. Like Edge actually kind of bullied Crown like almost that entire series, which was surprising.
But I think I just
He still played pretty well in the team fights, but his lane phase were not too great versus.
Everyone always like says Assassin's really good. I think Edge is better than Assassin though. So
Assassin's fucking weird. Sorry, dude. If you play 20 different champions in a season, screw you, mate. You're not good. You're just
Champ puddle.
You're just trying to
it's
make anything work at this point.
It's like a champ. Yeah, it's like not even a puddle. It's like a champ bird feeding table. You know what I mean? Like it's like really like wide but really fucking shallow. Like in the terms of like he can play a lot of champions. He's not good on any of them though. Really, like, occasionally he can bust out a cheese pick and cheese someone with it, but he has a basic proficiency with all these champions. But he never goes off on them.
That entire series was so close, and it ended up in the 3rd game by Edge getting caught by QV stun into the wall while he was trying to engage. It was actually pretty cool. He dashed, like you have to look at it, he dashed forward, and then QV flashed him into that tiny ass wall in the middle of the lane. Like mid lane, if you have mid lane, you have the brushes at the sides, you have those tiny walls sticking out next to the brushes.
Yeah.
He got stunned in that wall by Cuba, and that's how they lost, because he was like their main damage eater. Because like they were close the entire game until that point, and then they lost the game, which was like, why is Kongdoo making you guys work so hard, Samsung? It's like they could have legit lost that series 2-0, 2-1.
Yeah,
so.
Samsung don't deserve to go to playoffs after they dropped that game to Kongdoo. Like I'm not, I wanted to see him in playoffs, but I don't think they deserve it. Well, I hate Afreeca, so yes.
I don't like Afreeca either, but I think Samsung Jin Air, we already saw 2 of those. I don't want to see a 3rd.
I think
that first best of 3 was freaking painful to watch.
Yeah, well, I think
it was 4 hours.
Well, all I'm saying is like I believe
it was a best of 3. It was 4 hours.
Okay. All I'm saying is I enjoy watching Samsung play more than I enjoy watching Afreeca play.
I can accept that.
I actually just don't accept Afreeca. At least puts up a show and makes it hilarious. Because like even like, versus CJ, it was like, man, I'm gonna TP in, even though I haven't deep fully healed yet. You literally saw him TP in again. I'm like, oh, Mickey's TP. He was less than half health. Like, okay, it didn't really matter because he just needed to be there to shield because he was playing Lulu. But it was still hilarious that he like, did it again.
Do you have anything else to say about this Kongdoo Samsung before we move on to Afreeca, CJ?
I would say that I don't think Kongdoo will get relegated because I think they have to play MVP. I think they've probably got a pretty good chance of beating MVP.
I mean, they're pretty solid. Like Crush is doing okay on the carry tech junglers. Edge can like play most things, and then you just have Hippo play tank, and they will probably.
You know what? You know what's a really good thing for Kongdoo? Which champion's back in the top lane?
Maokai?
Nautilus.
No, it's not. It's not.
Hey, it's good.
No, it's.
I'm sure Hippo can pull it out.
It's worse.
He's already pulled it out multiple times, and it was totally garbage. So
just play fucking Maokai.
They can just ban Maokai and Echo, and he'll be like, haha, Nautilus.
It's perfectly acceptable to play Nautilus into Maokai. It's perfectly acceptable. You can even build the Rod of Ages on Nautilus, which is something I don't see anyone do for some unknown reason. But
what do you play? Okay, we're not having this.
So,
all right, Afreeca, let's teach it.
Moving on, Afreeca CJ. So we have one game of quality play, and then we have a Twitch appear in the second game.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. Like, and then you have Ixu just fucking bodying that game for himself. Like, oh look, I'm 1v2 defending my turret. Oh, let me just kill Kramer real quickly, and then my jungler comes in and we kill Madlife too. Okay, like I don't know, but like I have seen some questionable plays from the bot lane, like CJ, like Like you had a lot of camera zooms to Bad Life, or was it Kramer? Yeah, I think it was Kramer. Like constant zooms at his face after he died. It was pretty sad actually.
Yes, I think CJ are checked out basically.
Yeah.
I think
They were already, but like, God,
I don't think they really tried in that
squashed
series.
by Afreeca.
I've seen them play a lot better. Than
Pretty
they
sure
did,
the Twitch pick
was just
kind of knocks the last nail into the coffin. Going, can we just be done?
definitely considering Twitch for Secos. That's not a matchup you want to do.
Like it seemed like they gave it the old college try
Yeah.
in game one,
Exactly.
failed, and we're like, what? We have to play a second game? Shit, we're gonna miss our lunch.
Yeah, Daydream's left CJ again now, so
Yeah.
Which is disappointing because that means something. So there was somehow in the team house he was not a good fit or deemed a good fit comparative to bubbling.
well, yes, but I still think CJ will probably get a new jungler for the next split, so
Let's hope so.
I wouldn't worry about that too much. I think what will probably have happened is that the CJ coaches will have made it clear that he wasn't going to be their starting jungler for next split. So I think he just left basically. I wouldn't be surprised if it was of mutual consent that the CJ coaches didn't want him and he didn't want. He knew he wasn't going to get any play on CJ because I reckon they probably got an eye on a few junglers they can sign for next split basically. So. Yep. Historically, Reach is really good at scouting talent, at least. So,
moving on from there, SKT SBENU. How much of this should we discuss? Because, boy, was this one-sided.
SBENU got crushed, basically.
Well, they picked Rek'Sai. Oh God.
Yeah.
Rek'Sai picks these days like. Ooh. Doesn't make you feel warm inside.
No, I don't even know what to say about the series really. Like SKT, like I will say this about SKT is I think SKT are the most like serious team probably in the world in terms of like they never have those games where they just play like a fun kind of thing. Every game they try as hard as they can.
Yeah, but they do play something fun, but they still are so good on it. Like must be mid lane or something, or all.
But like they're like a no fun team. Like you saw KT versus Kongdoo, it got a bit silly at times and whatnot. Like I think SKT, this SKT lineup, like it doesn't matter who they're playing against, they just play the same way every single time. Like you know what I mean? Like credit to them because I think that's not a bad mentality to have. But yeah, they do weird like just because that. But like when I watch them in game, they never play like overly reckless just for the hell of it.
They don't pick the Tom Kench and do stupid things with it. They pick the Tom Kench and they're like, okay, we're gonna use this in our team comp.
Yeah, Sassen was playing fucking tank echo mids.
So what you're saying is that this SKT team is like 5 flames in that that show match for Masters when Gangplank got a pentakill and it just flashed to his face and he was just fun.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to have fun in this game.
Yeah, it looks like they look like
5 of them playing.
They'll play champ select and have a little bit of fun with it, but they look like they're never having much fun in the actual game kind of thing. They look like just play every game seriously. So, I think that's a good mentality to have overall. It's just not the most entertaining, which is why the series was kind of dull because it was just SKT just kind of rampaging all over SBENU really. So
it's like SKT strangling an already dead SBENU, and it's like they're not even fighting back.
Yeah.
Stop it. Simpson meme.
So now we have KT Kongdoo and surprise upset game 2, where KT lost a game.
Well, again, KT did some bizarre things in that game, so it doesn't matter. Again, this doesn't matter at all.
No, it didn't matter at all. Like in a fucking 0-2, and still have been second place.
Yeah, so it doesn't like.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious series to watch on Saturday morning.
So they just were having a bit like this whole like the Saturday games were just like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like neither of those series actually mattered.
Longzhu maybe cared because they got 7th place instead of 8, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Slightly better for their egos, I guess. But
all I know is for the Jin Air Longzhu game, I left for the gym. 2 hours later, I came back, and they were just starting the interviews, and I was like, or the game wasn't over yet, and I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took so long. I was like, Jesus, I thought LCS was going to get delayed, but like, it barely did not get delayed. Luckily for them.
So anything much to say about either of these series?
Expressions Fiora playing game 3 was really, really good. That's about it. That's about the majority of.
Oh yeah, it was pretty sick, dude.
Pilot,
he had a sick highlight. But,
Pilot continues to pick Ashford, play that terrible Ash build.
See, I think you're sandbagging Pilot specifically could be sandbagging because
Jin Air. Right.
he had.
You know what? I'm going to go full LPL analyst on this. Jin Air are sandbagging. You will all see. They are sandbagging the fuck.
With the Rageblade Ash and then the triple lifesteal into attempted Maul of Malmortius Callista build. It's like, could you get more defense tanky when that Callista build?
It's got a static gauge.
I mean, yeah, like the only thing you could have gotten is finish the Maul and get a Sterix gauge and be like, well.
Into the frozen pallet, like fuck it, like
I don't
no, yeah. I think Jin Air are actually sandbagging.
Yeah, okay, that's what you say. I have actually no idea what Pilot's doing, but yeah, the rest just.
I just can't believe they lost so poorly.
Yeah, especially kind of body trace to be honest with the Fioras.
Okay.
The
So anything else?
works pretty well for a second. It's just interesting. And see if we might see some Fiora returning in playoffs just to battle the Echo.
It's true, actually. Yeah, I could definitely see Fiora kind of rise just as a sort of counter to the Echo.
I'm not sure it's gonna work because it's still pretty hard to pull off, but like, you know, never mind. We have some of the best Fiora players in the playoffs. So.
I'm always really excited to watch Smith play Fiora anyway, so.
Yeah.
So didn't they really like destroy her?
Oh, she's been nerfed quite a lot, but you know.
Yeah, but she still does quite some. She still does pretty good at fucking damage and split pushing Berserko. Like tanks would get destroyed by Echo in split pushing, but she would actually beat Echo, so that's an advantage. And she still like does a lot of damage, and she goes quite tanky with a lot of health stacking. So.
Okay.
So
yeah, we can move on to the playoff.
2 weeks of 4 or 3 best of 5s and 1 best of 3. This can be over fast.
Why is it a best of 3? Why is it a best of 3? Just give me the best.
It's a wild card game. These teams are wild.
So we're gonna cover the first 3 rounds because we might diverge on picks because they all happen this week, and then next week we'll talk about them and be able to have our speculation on the Rox Tigers finals.
The only question is KT going to beat SKT? Like, that's it.
So, Afreeca versus Jin Air. Who you got?
Jin Air.
Sandbag.
Jin Air. 2-1 Jin Air.
Do you think it's Jin Air simply because of the sandbagging?
Yeah, I do.
There's no blind pick at least. But
I think Jin Air have better players in nearly every single position as well. So I can count on that.
Wait.
See, I would say
except for jungle, I think they have better players in nearly every single position.
I will say Afreeca because I think the way the jungle top has switched is a detriment to Jin Air.
Yes, a big
and
detriment.
I think it is a positive for Afreeca where they can just put Ixu onto a tanky champion and let Lyra be the more of a carry, where it was better for Jin Air to have a tankier player for tankier champion for winged and let Trace be the carry. Because everyone then just got super excited, we gotta kill Trace, and he would just never die, and then the rest of the Jin Air would be able to play their bot lane how they want to, and Kuzan would pretty much get a free lane.
Lyra is like ambition, but a good champion pool. And
I mean, not Graves.
No, more than just Graves. He plays fucking great Graves. Like Lyra will just be a big factor in just this matchup, which is going super one-sided. Also considering Ixu plays a lot of good meta picks right now. They also have the Gragas pick, which I still don't think they're gonna play jungle often or at all, like considering the strength. But you know, you never know. That some weird counter pick top lane, but like they still pick it just to have it in top lane. It works for them. The problem Mickey has enough of a champion pool to make it like.
The problem with saying that basically I think this team is going to win because they've been sandbagging this entire time is I actually have very little analysis to back up my. My decision because the recent evidence would tell you that Afreeca are going to crush.
Just hate.
They have a much better early game than Jin Air does, and like Jin Air doesn't even have any could something of making it late. I'm like, they're gonna play Ashe. Just sorry, dude. Get fucking
They're not going to play the Ashe. It's all part of their sandbagging trust.
Yeah, they're gonna ban Ashe. That's all plan, right? Ban Ashe. You know.
No, they're just gonna leave Ashe up and never touch it.
Yes, exactly.
Um,
Sang is maybe dog shit AD carry, but he doesn't need to actually do
Yeah.
much in that series to win. He just
basically,
needs to
my
be there.
issue with
Well, let's move on. Let's move on because I'm not going to give you any analysis.
Okay.
So if you just
I
want
was
to,
like, 'cause
You're just saying.
I have
Jin
the
is gonna
same
win.
reasoning as Peter.
Hashtag
It's
separate.
like the way the meta is shifting. It seems like it's in favor of Afreeca at a lot of the points where it's
course.
needed, and not in favor of Jin Air. So
Having a good AD carry is still nice, but it's not required.
Let's
to actually
see.
win.
let's see if we both go back to agreeing, because I think we're all going to agree on this one. So the winner of the Jin Air Afreeca plays SKT1. So me and Peter have Afreeca, and Sam, you have Jin Air. Now, how many games are Jin Air or Afreeca going to be able to win before they lose the eventuality of being destroyed by SKT?
one. I think they'll both win. I think they would both win one game.
And if Jin Air makes it, they won't win a game. If Afreeca make it, I think they can win one. Like, maybe
I would
two.
say neither team's getting a fucking game.
Considering like this, like I said, like jungle differential, like Lyra is much better in blank at the moment, and you know, but I mean SKT in general as well, like, should be fine. But it's not like SKT never loses fucking game versus Afreeca, because like they let Mickey do some weird shit and get away with it because Faker's too cocky and just like, oh, let's try 1v1 Mickey, because of Ignite, pick mid lane or whatever. No, I think Afreeca could take a game, but they really shouldn't. I mean, if SKT wants to fucking win, then they really shouldn't lose to Afreeca a single game. Considering they should have a better team come, and like now we have the carry differential. It doesn't matter if you actually want to like be the better team.
I will say that this is the series where if Afreeca do make it, that or in this playoff run either way, their pick and ban strategy of having these like weird sort of pocket picks that you have to ban out, and therefore they get all the meta picks, will be exposed. I think that if Jin Air don't expose it, SKT will definitely expose it. That is not actually like a strategy you can use consistently.
I don't think they have relied on that much lately, considering like that they just win. Like they wanted a 0 for all champions. Like who the fuck even knew what Mickey played a 0? Like he was not even fucking bad with it. Like because Mickey is not relied to be the focal carry anymore, or mostly isn't because he just does some weird shit. But you know he does a lot in the team fighting and stuff. Like what they should do is just fucking focus Lyra, try and get him off. But the problem is right now, like it's weird, but they could just legit just go ban all the three main junglers right now, and then see how impactful Lyra is on Elise or Lee Sin or whatever else well, actually his Gragas still pretty good, but it's not like you're not gonna carry that as hard with the Gragas, which they can play it, but then I think you take one of the biggest strengths from Afreeca away, while you still have your carry strengths, where you can just use Bang, because otherwise you have Lyra stepping up for Sangyun. He'll do the damage that Sangyun doesn't. But if you don't give him a jungle, if he can't pick a jungler that can do that, then they just straight out win, and that's how SKT like should never lose. Because Duke is still way better than Ixu, or at least better. Let's not over-agree. And you always have the AD carry differential. If you just take Lyra away from carry junglers, you can just legit ban all three. I think that's the best strategy to do. Or you first pick one, of course, if you that's blue side. But like you just take away Graves, Nidalee, and Kindred, you're good to go. Like there's not another jungler right now that has a good that can be as impactful in team damage as those three.
Yeah, I think the other one as well is like the Faker versus like Mickey matchup as well. Like provided Faker doesn't just like play crazy aggressive and just get ganked over and over again.
He'll do that.
Like, and then as soon as Mickey does something like stupid, like SKT just capitalize that and then they win the game. Like, so they can't, and I don't think Sangyun will get away with his team fight like he does against other teams against SKT, especially against like Bang as well. So, and Duke's really good at focusing AD carries as well. So.
I see Afreeca getting destroyed by SKT 3-0 simply because I think Duke will beat up on Ixu regardless of what tank champion he plays, and he's going to get so strong that it's going to be almost impossible for him to die. And then I see Bang and Wolf just annihilating Sangyun, Snowflower, and Lane.
The only
much
reason
to the malign of Snowflower.
The only reason I don't want to predict a 3-0 is just because I don't think I've seen SKT be clean enough for me to. I don't think they've won really many 2-0s at all this entire season, and I don't think that they're clean enough.
They did most, other than Afreeca and the ones I lost. I think I think they toured everything except Afreeca, and the ones they didn't do, they got 0-2.
Well, they
I think.
they had a bunch of 2-0s, but
Well, let's see. They 2-1 Kongdoo, for example. They 2-1 Samsung.
they won 2 or lost with 2-0s against Jin Air, KT, and
No,
Kongdoo. They
I'm mostly
1-2-0
talking
or
the second half, not the first.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like I've seen them get seeing them get 2-0'd by KT as well. Just makes me think like I just don't think it's completely out of the realms of possibility enough for like Afreeca or Jin Air to take a single game. Like we're talking about a single game in the best of 5. It's not like
I guess I think Africa is strong enough to take a game, like definitely with early snowball. But I think if you nullify Lyra and pick and bans, I don't think they're strong enough to out. Like they should always just if they get mid game, they should always win guaranteed if they just keep Lyra away from. Because you have to at that point rely on Sangyun, which you should never do because you lose.
Yeah. See, my issue is I think they're going to have to rely on Sangyun, Snowflower, and Ixu, and that like those are the three players on the team that are going to get completely outshone by SKT, and I think that's the bigger issue.
I think Snowflower actually will be enough. It will be good. Like, they won't get like completely bodied, but it's the issue that Ixu is playing tanks, and you still need someone to actually kill people in team fights.
Well, I still think that Duke is going to be good enough to get enough of an advantage in against Ixu that he becomes a Goliath where Ixu's like, I'm a tank, and he's like, yeah, but he's a mountain.
Yes. No, for sure.
So we can move on. So we all have SKT, KT.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we have the interesting fact: who is going to win? There are 2 days in between the wild card. Wild card is Wednesday, and then the round 2
is Friday.
I guess quarterfinals.
Yes, quarterfinals.
Which is kind of weird, but would be Friday, and then semis is Saturday.
KT win 3-1 in the semis.
Yeah,
I'd say 3-1-3. Like the issue here is the amount of games. I kind of want to say 3-2. I think it has a really good chance of going all like the distance, but
I'm leaning definitely versus KT. Definitely considering what they did this week. But I do watching that series. I do see like just with a couple of small adjustments, like they could really take KT like all the way and like, maybe even with some insane plays. I think it's gonna be a great series, but I will say KT, but it's gonna probably be 3-2. So I think it's well, actually no. If KT wins, it's gonna be 3-1 or even 3-0. But
I'd say that your argument for the small adjustments on the side of SKT, I think you can make the same argument for KT with just a few small adjustments. Those games would have been less close than they were. I think, for example, if Sunday had played a tank in game 1, then I don't think Duke would have been able to get as big of a lead as he did, and therefore wouldn't have been able to keep SKT in the game as well as he did.
Maybe, but I also feel like the cannon kind of just like made SKT a bit distracted in their team fighting because they had to constantly be aware of that AoE presence. But yeah, sure. But I think KT like in general was like I said, like everyone said, yeah, that was a close series and got to go to like either way. I never think KT would have lost that series anyway, considering they just played better.
I think the thing about that cannon pick though is that yes, SKT like it distracted SKT in team fights and it threw them off, but at the same time, I think that Sunday didn't like capitalize on that at all well. Basically,
no, I definitely think would have been better.
So it's a mixture of like SKT played badly versus the cannon, but then KT played the cannon badly.
Yeah, but then I'm talking in game 2 it was like. I don't think at all that game 2 was close. Like, okay, maybe it was like 40-ish minutes, but like KT had that in the back. The only issue is that they had to deal with with Bang being like again like he plays so well, and he was playing Sivir and he was doing a lot of damage. But I do think like a lot with some pick ban, and then if they clean up some of the issues they have in like some of the team fight. I think it's going to be close, but I'm definitely leaning on KT. Like they also have the advantage of they already get to see a bit of them versus Afreeca or Jin Air. But yeah, I think KT will win. But it's like a 3-1 or 3-0. I think if it's 3-2, it's going to be for SKT. But I don't think we're going to get there. I think KT is going to be strong enough, and they have a lot of good comps and picks that like they still have the unique Zillion pick for themselves, and just the jungle differential right now is like way too big.
Yeah.
And I don't think they would just like say, oh, let's just completely bet on score, because I don't think that's would work, because then you just leave a lot open for other comps that they can run. But maybe that would work, like just put score on anything but the 3 mains. It's like it won't like with score the difference that he will still be very impactful and his team will catch up with the damage that he won't be doing. But like yeah, it might make it a lot less hard. But I still think he would just pressure our jungle blank. And the problem is if you ban the 3 damage dealers, you also won't have a damage dealing jungler.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how they've been playing themselves as KT, because they have been playing with Duke on a tank and playing double AD carry with a supportive mid laner most of the time. So it won't versus KT, like that wouldn't work, because KT is a more well-rounded team than Afreeca is. So.
Yeah.
And
I think
score
KT
will still
wins
be better as a jungler,
in blank, yeah.
considering whatever he gets to play.
I still think it's a 3-1, but or a 3. I still think KT's going to win, but I don't know if it's 3-1 or 3-2. I think
I definitely don't think it'll be 3-2. I definitely would say I think it's more likely to be a 3-0 to KT than a 3-1 than a 3-2 to KT.
Yes, I have to agree. Yeah.
So, but 3-1 KT beat SKT.
Yes, I would take SKT can definitely pull out a game.
Yeah. You can't count out Faker in a best of 5. Like I definitely think that SKT can find a way to win a game, but I just think the meta just favors I think KT better right now as well.
If they win, I fucking hope it is, because they have cleaned up some itemization, which I definitely won't. And considering if Faker, I think Faker's been playing way too careless, and like he needs to step up like in those small decisions he makes to not be so overconfident, and because it's costing them a lot lately.
Is, yeah.
Like last year, it was like, oh yeah, Faker's being aggressive and he died, in lane because he was being too cocky. Yeah, it just happens like every couple of weeks, but it's happening every week now, and sometimes more than once. I feel, and it's becoming.
It's not good.
It's not a good trend. Yeah, you can say he's Faker, but at some point you can't sugarcoat it anymore. He's doing things that are costing his team, and that
he's doing things that are stupid.
Yes, exactly.
If they could gone off in that series against KT, like actually gone off to the level he could have, like SKT could have found themselves in second place and not be forced to play an additional best of 5. You know what I mean? Like, so in that sense, like. He wasn't the worst player on the map, but he definitely wasn't the best player, which he should be the best player on the map in every game that he plays. Like, that's what we've come to expect from Faker.
Yep. So any other thoughts?
Just the teams that haven't played in the playoffs so far, if you were to make one roster change to that team, how would you improve it? So if we think, so realistically, we've got like CJ, Longzhu, and Samsung are the teams that because I don't really care about SBENU or Kongdoo enough to look into how they'd improve, because
you need a lot for Kongdoo.
Yeah. So CJ, how would you improve CJ Entus?
Get him a good jungler, and it's Untara still needs to it's not great, but
I think Untara is fine in the current meta.
It's enough. Plus he's a Makai player.
I think if you gave CJ a really, really good jungler, it would tighten up the early game to the point where you might even see a sort of obviously it wouldn't have been the same level if you get from Rox, because I don't think they could get a jungler that's even would give them that much of a transformation. But if their early game went from being by far their biggest weakness to just something, then if they could stay equal in the early game, I think that you could see CJ become a really dangerous team. And a lot of their players are still they're still improving kind of thing. There's still Antara and BDD's rookie split, and Kramer's only played in LMS. So objectively, it's you could even make the case that Kramer's still got the value to improve, and they've got another AD carry on the bench that apparently is really good. So Like now, I'm not saying bench out Kramer or anything, but the CJ roster has a lot of potential to grow.
I don't know if it makes Twitch again.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah, to be fair, I definitely take back that kind of like you really feel like CJ kind of tuned out at the end of this.
Yeah, so I would just say like CJ just need to get like a really good jungler. Like if I mean I'm not. There's no jungler in Korea that they could get that would be unless they could somehow get Crash. But again, like I can't see that happening.
Maybe
I mean that would be my dream transfer. You know,
belongs to
Yeah.
some players.
Yeah, that would be my dream transfer is Crash to or even Chaser to CJ Enters. But if you were to look overseas and stuff like that, like
I think I'd rather Crash.
like I mean I still like if they could like if you look overseas junglers that would be good for CJ like Rainover or Rush, these would
I
be
believe there's a guy named Trick who plays in the
Well,
EU LCS.
Trick.
Who was already on a CJ team before.
Yeah, but Trick's probably going to reach the. Tricks might even make it to MSI. No player ever makes it to MSI and then leaves to go join, like I can see. Like,
Oh no, I'm just saying they could have kept him. Like they had the opportunity.
Yes, but hindsight's 2020, and it like
Oh yeah.
So we could go further back and say they could just get Coco back, like
Well, they could never do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't have the money for it.
Yeah. So my point is that like both Rainover and Rush didn't have great playoffs. So like if Rush left Cloud9 to join CJ Entus, that wouldn't be a downgrade for him in terms of his like sort of career. It might make him less likely to make it to Worlds this year.
Money too, probably.
Well, yes. Well, yeah. Korean wages aren't that bad for starters. And
no, but C9 is one of like the top end org.
Again, I'm just purely like.
No, I know.
Not every player in Korea only cares about money. That's why some of them stuck around even after the big Korean exodus, where they were, all being off crazy amount of money, basically.
He's a faker cared only about money. It was fucking China right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's the same for Smeb. It's the same for loads of these players. Like, they've showed they don't really care about the money. So, like, and again, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying that kind of jungler would sort out kind of thing. There are a few good junglers in Korean Challenger. They could look at Beast, for example. I mean, I know he's a very controversial player, but I always thought he played pretty well on Snake. He didn't play amazingly well, but at least he had moments where he was very aggressive, at least, which is what I want. I just want CJ to get an aggressive jungler. I don't, so as long as it's someone aggressive and early game focused.
I want to have a jungler that doesn't get his head caved in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's fucking much.
So I think we all agree on jungler there. So.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. Alright, so
should we even touch Longzhu?
I already had that big.
Longzhu has such player issues. I don't think there is a single position that we could.
It's not that they need roster swaps. They need just to make a roster.
Roster.
With the coaching staff behind it and fucking improve. That's all they have to do.
So on to Samsung.
Yeah, because that's the only team left. Get a fucking AD carry yet, or ditch Ambition. That's my.
Yeah, so mine's either get an actual AD carry that can carry you, so you can take pressure off Ambition, or replace Ambition with a better, more aggressive jungler.
But like, it's much easier to find AD carry, I think.
What I would say for Samsung, I say that we should drop. What's his name? Stitch. Drop Stitch. Get an AD carry that's actually different from core JJ. So maybe get like a carry focused AD carry that might recklessly throw you games or whatever. That way you can balance between the two. So I'm talking about like realistic options they can get, and then like get a jungler, like a young jungler who's got like, again, it's fucking, there's not this unlimited supply of good junglers. Like get a jungler that has a bigger champion pool than Ambition. Maybe they could do the same kind of thing that AHQ do in Taiwan, where they like play Ambition on blue side and they play the other jungler on red side with the bigger champion pool that's not quite as good on his select pick kind of thing.
Genius.
So that way, Ambition's on blue side, he becomes much more likely to get his Graves. But then when they play on red side, they play a jungler that can play all the champions, not necessarily to the level that Ambition can play his Graves at, but a level better than Ambition plays, like Kindred or Gragas or something along those lines. Again, it might even be just if they could get a superstar AD carry, that would be, that would probably sort out a lot of issues, because I never think Ambition plays like, except for, the occasional game where he goes 0-5-1 or something. I never think he plays like horrendously bad to the point where like,
No, he just plays like Ambition. He farms.
yeah,
He
exactly.
doesn't, like, actually make an impact in the team that much.
Yeah, so if they had a more lane dominant AD carry, I think that would kind of, be good. But again, where does these lane dominant AD carries come from? Another question for you. So yeah, I would say that something along those lines.
I think it's pretty hard to find.
Where on the street is there's a jungler who just got bumped out of the LSPL that speaks Korean and could come back to Korea
Right.
by the name of Kakao.
Did he get bumped out?
They lost.
Yeah, his team lost. He only played the last game of it too.
Yeah, I thought he played 0 games.
I think they put him in for the last game
Oh, I thought
of whether or not they win or lost.
Yeah, that could work. That could work for either CJ or Samsung, actually, to be fair.
Or SKT. I'm not even kidding. Like.
Well, yes. But yeah, that could work for either of them, realistically. Kakao.
Kakao's explosive person.
Yeah, I mean, Kakao.
I kind of like. I think it will work with the SKT. I'm thinking like. I'm not sure his personality would kind of like.
Yeah.
If they would like that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a great guy.
So, but I definitely think that he could join CJ or Samsung.
SKT is like the most seems like to be one of the most strict teams in the Korea ever. So yeah, you feel if you have a more like loose personality, so maybe you're not gonna perform that well just because.
I would probably rather see Kakao on CJ than I would rather see him on Samsung, because I think that Samsung would be better off getting a new like a really good AD carry. Like if they're going to spend money on a player, I think they should spend that money on an AD carry and perhaps sign like a sort of a rookie unknown.
There's still the chance that jungle become just like tanks or utility players again next split. Well, AD carry will always be a fucking AD carry.
Yeah.
They're never gonna make AD carries completely.
But
Going back to the idea of hindsight, they did have an AD carry. It was very good on their team. They almost could have kept. Well, they actually couldn't keep him because they couldn't pay him. But
what, Fury?
Yep.
Well, yes, but Fury's been playing like dog shit recently anyway, so who cares about Fury?
No, talking about
that's
something
true.
else.
But
Yeah, Fury.
moving him back over there and not having him be suspended, there's a chance he could have been. They could have been a better team. I don't know. I just like thinking about players they've left to go. They're like, man, that player could really fit into this position.
If Fury was looking for his own individual success, he left Samsung at literally the worst time possible, kind of thing. Stuck by them for a year.
He just went for
dog
paycheck.
shit, and then went for the paycheck. When actually, if he'd probably been on the Samsung roster, they'd probably be in the playoffs right now if he was continuing to play how he played last year on Samsung.
Yep.
Him and Wraith were probably one of the best bot lanes in Korea, alongside Pure and OQ and
Bang.
and Bang and whoever he was playing with.
They were monsters.
Yes.
Anything else to bring up?
I don't.
No.
Other than Hail Smeb, season MVP leader,
Oh yeah.
greatest top laner in the world.
Do playoff MVP points still matter?
Yeah, they still do.
Playoff MVP points are in their own category.
Are they? Oh, okay, yeah. So Smeb is the season MVP.
Well, to be fair, it wouldn't really be fair for Smap because he only gets to play one fucking series. So.
That's
I
true.
believe the MVP points are scaled for that too. So
Yeah, it's something you get.
so like if the team that's in a 4th-5th match makes it all the way to the finals, they're scaled, so there's a chance that the Rox Tiger player could, or the winner of the number 1 seed could get MVP.
Smeb
No,
will
they season MVP.
Smeb will probably get the double MVP as well, because I would imagine if he will probably get a lot of those MVP votes in the final as well.
And then following up behind him someday, and then 3rd place was a tie between Ambition and Ixu.
I know, right? I Ixu with all these points, man.
And then a 3-way tie in 5th place for Peanut, Score, and Trace.
Oh, poor Trace.
Poor Tracy fell very far, didn't he?
That's because you need to win games to get an MVP.
Yeah, Faker was 8th, which I think is the lowest he's ever been in his MVP rankings.
Yeah, but look at it's like immediately Faker, Bang.
Yeah,
and
the
Duke,
issue is
they
that
all 3 have like so many points.
Faker, Bang, and Duke are all within 100 points of each other, and then Blank even has 500 points.
Yeah,
So
what the fuck?
if you go 200 points down, you have 4 of the 5 players. That's the
so
issue. Is that
Considering
Faker has-
that Blank didn't even play all the fucking games.
Well, I mean, it's also an issue of Faker's kind of taken a step back.
Oh
and
yeah,
kind of
I'm not talking about
facilitated. Yeah.
Faker. I'm just talking like how many MVP points I actually have. Because
Yep.
spread
See,
out.
the biggest robbery is that the 42nd place, which is last, 100 points. Gorilla has the same
Oh
number
my-
of MVPs as motherfucking Googer. I don't want to be mean to Googer,
Oh yeah.
but he's a support player on a team not good.
Yeah. Hippo has more MVP points than Gorilla.
He does.
It's
So does Pilot.
There were so many fucking games where he deserved MVP where he just didn't get it.
So does Pure.
He's just-
Pure has
I can't. I imagine that Gorilla isn't really that bothered considering how well he's
I don't
doing
think he
right
is.
now. Like,
I think can't be that bothered considering in the top 5 both Smeb and Peanut reside. So it's really hard to snatch an MVP
yeah,
when they both go ballistic on champions and just take over the game and get like 10 kills.
Kuro as well as in 9th as well, only 100 points
600
behind Faker. Like, so he's tied with Bang, Coco, Duke, Fly, Kramer, Kuzan. Like, yeah. So
The MVP kind of shows who the best players of Tigers, but then Gorilla's playing support, so he's never gonna get so many MVP points.
yeah, this is
He
not
was
really
robbed that one game. He was robbed.
He definitely was. King is Gorilla.
Anything else to say?
good. No, I think that's the end of the
Next
show.
week we can do some. We'll talk about the finals and we might do some awards for the regular season.
No, we'll probably do awards for playoffs because I'm doing awards for regular season and an article. So,
Okay, never mind.
Alright.
good night, everyone.
Good night.
I assume you're watching this in bed. What else?
How else would you watch us?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not like I upload this in the morning or something.
Yeah, take your hand off your penis. Good night, everyone.